Hello and welcome to the Lord of the Rings, the living card game. I'm the White Tower Watchman. We are about to go into Over and Underhill, the first Hobbit expansion, in my progression series on this channel. Now, before I go into that, I want to discuss a couple of tricky rule situations that have come up over the years as I've played this game, and I want to make these as clear as possible so if they come up during my playthrough, you guys know what's going on. And also, if you're a beginner and you are confused by this, maybe this can help. If anyone is watching this and that interprets these rules differently, please leave it in the comments, and we can talk about maybe how it, you think it should be played, or convince me otherwise, right? So we're going to talk about Troll Key and Troll Purse. Now, the thing to understand about this is you have these two objectives here, Troll Key and Troll Purse. Okay? Now, really quick, I want to show you guys the pre-errata version. So if you notice, this is the errated version. If Troll Key is discarded, add it to the staging area. If Troll Key is unattached and in the staging area, attach it to Troll Enemy if able. Same exact thing on this. So by the sounds of that, it's like if Troll Key is discarded, add to the staging area. Sounds pretty clear. If Troll Key is unattached and in the staging area, attach it to a Troll Enemy. Okay, so those are just constantly checking for those things all the time. So the way this works is, now it's kind of written wrong, and I'm going to explain why. What they're saying to do here is they're saying, if this ever enters the discard pile, add it to the staging area. If it's in the staging area and there's ever a troll enemy in play, like say, Tom was in play, you would put it on a troll. Okay? That's how it works, and that's how we're going to play it. But it's not quite right. Okay, this is still early in the game where wordings were getting worked out. First, I want to show you the pre-errata wording, and you'll see what I mean. The pre-errata wording says, if Troll Key is discarded, resolve its when revealed effect if able. And then as when revealed says, attach to a troll enemy. Okay? So it's just a one-time thing, if you can. Now, what would end up happening is this would come out in, say, now if you're in this quest, if you're on stage 1, there's no troll enemies. If you're on stage 2, there are troll enemies in the staging area, okay? And possibly engage with you. So this comes out in stage 1. The way that used to be played is you would have triggered, or you would have initiated the when revealed effect attached to a troll enemy. Well, there is none. So what the hell do we do with it? Well, we don't really have any rules. Does it go to the discard pile? Is it because it's an item and an objective and potentially an attachment? Does it just sit out in the staging area like other maybe guarded objectives would? We don't know. But a lot of people would interpret that to be, well, it's placed in the discard pile and it just stays there. You missed the when revealed effect. Now, clearly, these were errated to make it precisely clear that the way it's supposed to work is if these enter the discard pile, they go in the staging area. If there's no troll there, they just sit there. And if a troll ever comes there, they get attached to one. Okay? That's how it's supposed to work. But I'm going to make a point here and show you guys how even with the errata, it's still sort of worded wrong. This is kind of one of those finicky rules where it's like designer's intent. Okay? Early in the game, you'll notice a lot more erratas exist like early in the game. Okay? So, take a look at this FAQ entry here. Okay? Thor's map, troll purse. They make it clear that that's how it should read, is the errata version. Okay? But I want to introduce a concept to you guys So you understand why I think it's still kind of worded wrong. Okay? In these games, we have concepts that are considered game terms, but can also be interpreted as like just language, right? So if I look at the top card of this encounter deck, if something tells me to look at the top card of the encounter deck, now, am I revealing this card? Well, in the sense of the English language, I'm revealing it to myself. But in the game term, revealing a card is basically resolving that card, staging area, that whole deal, right? That's what FFG likes to do with a lot of their games, is they use words to be game terms. In the same way in Game of Thrones and in all their LCGs, it would say draw cards or add cards to your hand. Now, if you take a card off the top of your deck and you add it into your hand, you're drawing a card in the terms of the English language, right? But in game terms, you're adding a card to your hand and drawing a card, two very different things. There could be something in the game that prevents you from drawing cards, but you can still look at the top card of your deck and add it to your hand, right? Now, if effect said a card can't exit your deck, then it covers both drawing and adding a card to your hand, right? So, in this game, they have a concept called discarding and placing in the discard pile, okay? I'm going to show you a FAQ entry here. 1.4, discarding cards versus placing cards in the discard pile. When a character is destroyed or an event card is played, it's placed in the discard pile. This is not the same as being discarded. Cards are only discarded when a card effect instructs the player to discard a card, okay? Now again, English language means anytime we get rid of a card, put it in our discard pile, we're discarding that card. But in terms of game terms, we're not discarding a card, we're placing it in the discard pile, okay? It makes it very clear. Discarding a card, let's take a look at Quest 2 so you guys see what I'm talking about. This says, anytime players would place progress tokens on this quest, discard an equal number of cards from the encounter deck instead. Okay, so our progress is transferred into discarding cards. Okay, so the way the Troll Key and Troll Purse should be worded is, if Troll Key or Troll Purse is placed in the discard pile, add it to the staging area. Now, that is how the designers intended that to be. Now, this is no like attack on this game or anything like that. I think everyone understands this is one of those finicky like designers' intent things. They even get it wrong right before they mention it here. So, discarding cards versus placing cards in the discard pile, okay? But look, if you go up two more here, or three more here, treachery cards should still be discarded after resolving effects, unless otherwise indicated by the card's text. Well, should they, or should they be placed in the discard pile? Well, maybe treachery cards are discarded after resolving their effects, but they just said other cards are placed in the discard pile, and discarded is only when a card effect instructs a player to discard a card, right? So we know what they mean. What they mean is if this ever enters the discard pile. Okay, by a strict reading of this card, if this ever showed up as a shadow card, it would be placed in the discard pile, and it wouldn't go back to the staging area. But that's not how they intend for you to play this card. What that card should say is, if Troll Key is placed in the discard pile, add it to the staging area. Now I'm going to show you two forum archive posts to show you that what Caleb really meant. Okay, if we go to the pre-errata version of this, where before it was worded like this, we even have an incorrect answer here, where somebody asked, how do these work? And it said, if there's no troll enemies, this is from 2012, by the way, which I'm sure is before the errata. If there's no troll enemies in play when Troll Purse or Troll Key are revealed, then they're placed in the discard pile. Cheers, Caleb. Now, for a while, even up to today, I was thinking, oh my God, everyone's playing this wrong. They're still, that is worded correctly. If it's discarded from this effect, it goes in the staging area. Otherwise, if it comes up as a shadow card, it's placed in the discard pile. You got to go through this damn deck again, which is going to be hard because then you have to find a way to put it on the bottom of the deck, because if the deck ever runs out, as we know on Quest 3B, you win the game. Okay? So there's a lot of mechanics there. But then I found something recently, which is another archive forum. It says, anytime, this is Caleb, anytime the troll key or troll purse would be discarded, whether as shadow cards or by questing successfully at stage 2, they're added to the staging area. So what he means there is, this is post errata. This is why they changed them. The giveaway should have been that they errated the cards to know what it meant. What he means there is, if it's placed in the discard pile as a shadow card, or maybe you do maybe shadow cards are discarded, but I can't really tell when they're using discard as a game term or in just a general English language sense, as in placing something in a discard pile. Because that FAQ entry says, cards are only discarded when a card effect instructs player to discard a card. Not when a framework game effect instructs player to discard a card. Well, maybe, I don't know. Again, it's not clear. But I think what he means there is, anytime they enter the discard pile, they're placed in the staging area. Okay? So I've taken 10 minutes out of everybody's life, including my own, to explain this. Now, I was just getting messed up for a second because I didn't know if they showed up as a shadow card, they just get placed in the discard pile, and they don't come back in the staging area. Even with the errata, you could still interpret it that way, because discarding and placing cards in the discard pile are two different things. Discarding would be like if a when revealed effect said discard an ally you control. That's discarded. But if an ally is destroyed, it's not discarded. It's placed in the discard pile. Okay? But the way the designers intend this to be, even though it's not maybe not worded perfectly, is anytime this card shows up, it's just going to stay out here. Or if it's discarded as a shadow card or whatever, it's placed in the discard pile, it goes back out here. So this card should read, if troll key is placed in the discard pile at the staging area. That's what that really means. Okay? So now that that's done, there's one other little finicky rule. I'm not as familiar with the saga boxes as I am the cycles. I mean, I've played through all of them multiple times, but the cycles I know like the back of my hand, right? So, is these two locations here. I want to talk about this. So now, the reason I'm talking about these two things is I'm about to do the playthrough on my channel. I just want to do this as sort of a prologue to that, just so you guys, if it comes up in the playthrough, you know why I played it a certain way, okay? Dreary Hills and Lowlands have a similar thing. They say, after placing one or more, this is a force effect, after placing one or more progress tokens on Dreary Hills, each player must discard one card at random from his hand. Okay? Sounds simple enough. After placing one or more progress tokens on Lowlands, each player removes one resource from one hero's resource pool. So after we place one or more progress on these things, we have to do something bad to ourselves. Okay? But what happens if we place... See how this has 2 quest points? What happens if we place... what happens if we place 2 progress on at the exact same time? Does that explore it immediately, place it in the discard pile, and make its force effect not trigger? Because the force effect can only trigger if it's in play. And if it's explored, it's immediately placed in the discard pile. Okay? So let's take a look at another FAQ entry. Let's see if I got it up here. I don't have this up here, but as you guys know, there's a certain order. Let's make sure we can find it. Right here. Timing of effect. Okay. When determining the order of effect resolution among abilities within these categories, players should first resolve passive abilities, or abilities that use the word when, then resolve abilities that use the word after. So there's when and after, okay? And then there's also that rule, and I don't know if it's going to be around exactly here, but where's that at? Here, timing effect resolution. Passive abilities first, forced effects seconds, response third. Okay, so a passive ability is something that's always on. Then a forced ability. Well, the fact that a location is placed in the discard pile immediately when it is explored is a game effect, which is a framework effect, which is kind of like a passive ability. Okay? So if we place 2 progress tokens on this exact same time, say we use Legolas response, we place 2 progress. By the strict rulings of the game, I think that will go in the discard pile before that forced effect happened, and you wouldn't get hit with it. Okay? Now you do the response effect much like you do the response effect on Ancient Mathom, because it specifically tells you to. After it leaves play as an explored location, filled with baggage gains a resource. After attached location leaves play as an explored location, draw 3 cards from Ancient Mathom. If you guys remember that card, that spirit card. Okay? But the forced effect probably wouldn't trigger. But again, I think the designers intend, because it says after placing 1 or more. Well, if you place more than 1, it's immediately explored. So they wouldn't have even put or more on there if they didn't intend for that to work. So the way I would interpret this card, even though it's not specifically written correct, I would interpret it as to say, forced. After placing 1 or more progress tokens on Dreary Hills, each player must discard 1 card at random from their hand, even if this card left play as an explored location. Okay, that's probably what it's meant to be. Same thing on this one, except it's 3 points. Well, if you were to place 3 at the exact same time, say you did a ride to ruin with a Snowborn Scout, you discarded Rohan Ally to place 3 at the exact same time. Okay, I think we would trigger that even if we explore it right away. Now, the reason I bring this up is, if you guys remember, there's a location in Road to Rivendell called Pathless Country. This is from Road to Rivendell. It's got 5 quest points. It says after at least 1 progress token is placed on Pathless Country, remove 1 progress from it. 1 progress token from it. Now, if all 5 of them are placed at the exact same time, I know a lot of people play this where you explore it before the forced effect takes place. I know a lot of people play that way. So, like, if you were to put 5 on here at the exact same time, it gets discarded without reducing you by 1. I know there's some people who interpret it that way. Again, I'm not exactly sure. There's only a few corner cases where this will matter, but maybe you end up losing by 1 or something, and you want to know if that would have won the game for you. Who knows? But for these, the way I'm going to play them in my playthrough, I'm going to play these exactly how we said. Anytime they are placed in the discard pile, they're going to go in the staging area. Not anytime they're discarded, because that would imply only from this. Anytime they're placed in the discard pile from Shadow Effect or anything like that, as Caleb Grace himself said on the most recent, this forum archive before the errata is different than this forum after the errata. So I'm assuming the errata should actually say if Trollkey's placed in the discard pile. And then for this one, I'm going to play where that forced effect goes off, no matter if I explore it right away or not. I'm going to play where that force effect goes on. If I put 1 progress token on there with the Snowborn Scout, and then I play another Snowborn Scout, and I put another progress token on there, by God, I'm going to resolve that force effect twice, then place in the discard pile as an explored location. Okay? That's how I'm going to play it. And if that makes it a little harder on me, then we know it's just a more appropriate, a more complete win. So when you watch my playthrough of Over and Underhill, that is how we're going to play these cards. And I'm 100% sure that's how you're supposed to play these cards. I'm 99.9% sure that's how you're supposed to play these cards. And and the fact that that's how you're supposed to play these cards now makes me unsure if that's how you're supposed to play this card. But we've already done our Road to Rivendell playthrough, and that never came up. So you know what? I'm not really worried about it anymore. Okay? Have a good one, guys. I'll see you with Over and Underhill.